Hey there! In today's tutorial, we're going to learn to make weird selections. I have a friend who asked for this tutorial, so I decided to make it for everybody. What do I mean by weird selections? Well, here's what's going to happen. I've got my photo of, this is Louie, by the way. Everyone say, hey, Louie. Hey, Louie. He's a good boy. All right, so I've got my photo of Louie up here, and I want to make funny little colored spots on Louie. So I'm going to come over here and do Layer, New, Layer. I've got a brand new layer on Louie, and if I wanted to, I could make some sort of a colored shape. Now, the simplest way of doing this would be I would grab a nice big paintbrush, and I would go, there's a little spot on Louie's eye, and now because it's on its own layer, I could do something like, multiply or something like that and have some form of color, or I could even just change the opacity, and there you go. So, voila, I've got a little red spot on Louie's eye. Easy. Next. That's one way of doing it. That's a freehand way of doing it. I basically just painted whatever I wanted. What if I wanted to be a little bit more precise? Let's kill that layer. Actually, let's just kill everything on the layer, but leave the layer there. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use the rectangular marquee tool. Of course, I come over here, I can draw a rectangle, any rectangle I want. And then if I draw that rectangle, I can then fill it with red, and there we go. I don't want that, though. Let's delete all of that. Now, one of the things that's nice about any of the rectangular marquee tool is, if I hold the shift key down, I can draw it, I get a square. So now I've got my square, and bam, there you go. I got that. These are standard selection tools, nothing that exciting. I've got the rectangular marquee tool, I've got the elliptical marquee tool. Elliptical marquee tool, of course, will allow me to draw. Hold the shift key down, there's a circle. Now, what's nice about these selection tools in Photoshop is that they can be added and subtracted together. If I hold the shift key down, notice that my little selection tool has a little plus in it, and allows me to actually add and make a complex shape. So I can come over here and do that. If I hold the alt key down, I can then subtract the shape and create a special shape like that. What's nice about the selection tools is you can mix and match them. So if I go ahead and go back to the rectangular marquee tool, I can actually add these squares or even subtract these squares from my shape. Selections do not need to be contiguous, so I could even come over here and add it like that, but for our purposes, I am going to make it contiguous. There you go. So you can create circles, you can create squares, you can take rectangles, you can create ovals, and you can add them and subtract them using the Alt for subtract and the Shift for add, and there you go. I've got that. All right, pretty. There you go. None of that. Now, I also could have gone over to my lasso tool, and I could have, drawn something like that. They always come out a little bit weird because my hand isn't very good. Though it's nice to know that, again, you could subtract a lasso tool, and then, of course, you can add a lasso tool. And again, remember, they all mix and match, so I can even add a rectangle or an ellipse to it if I wanted to. Beautiful. But not what I want to do either. My biggest tool, of course, is always the polygonal lasso tool. I love connecting the dots. Polygonal lasso tool, of course, when you connect the dots, just creates a connect to the dot shape, and of course you have to come over here, double click to get that done. But what I really want to show you today, look at that, I'm only 3 minutes in and I'm already getting the good stuff. What I really want to show you today is all the way down over here at the pen tool. Now, if I come over here to the pen tool allows me to play connect the dots in a very fun way. Now, if I come over here and go click, 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 standard connect the dots, right? And if I go to the end, it creates that shape. Now, that is not anything yet. I have to go to the top and say that I need to make this a selection, which, of course, instantly makes it a selection. And now I've turned my connect the dots into a selection. You're like, you already showed me that. That's the polygonal lasso tool. But wait, here's where it gets fun. With the pen tool, I can either use straight lines or Bezier curves, which means click, click, but instead of letting go, if I were to drag up or down, and again, when you drag up or down, you're dragging, basically you're turning this into a curve. So you've got these nodal points, and the nodal point, the length of the nodal point and the angle of the nodal point change the nature of the curve. So now if I'm happy with that curve, now I can make another straight line. Straight line, curve, straight line. Ooh, no, it's not a straight line, it's a curve. But the idea being that I could come over here and really start to craft what I want. Now, what's nice about this is that technically each of these lines, oh, I just subtracted the line. Each of these lines I can actually go through and change. If I do convert to point tool, this will turn this into a straight line. So you've got this idea of a curve or a straight line. So if I don't want this part to be curved, I can make that into a straight line again. Or I can make it into a curve again. So much fun. Pen tool is a neat tool to play, and when I do, I convert to a selection, and now, beautiful. I've got this very custom smooth selection, which I can come in here and do what I'm on the wrong layer. Layer, new layer, make sure you're on the blank layer. I can fill it in, and I can make Louis have that little funky shaped color on him. And if I deselect him, I can move that shape wherever I want. So the idea here is that you can manipulate shapes using selection tools, adding and subtracting them. You could use a freehand lasso tool, though it's always going to be a little bit shaky. You could use the polygonal lasso tool, which of course is only as good as how big of a polygon you draw. But most importantly, you could come over here and you can use the pen tool, and you could learn to either connect the dots, or you can drag and turn them into curved Bezier nodal and control points, and create and turn that into a selection, which you can have quite a bit of fun with. So have some fun by using the pen tool. Create really, really nice, very smooth and straight lined selections. Enjoy.